What were you doing before? How did this all evolve?
Right, well, I've been a coach and running my own business for the last 6 years, which I absolutely adore. So I provide one-to-one coaching. I also deliver training in coaching and also leadership development. And I'm also a mentor for a number of organisations. So I've been doing that and working with men and women, public and private sector organisations. And that's been me. I came across the term female breadwinner in some research by a woman called Rebecca Messenbeck. And as soon as I heard the term, I thought, this is me, number one. Oh gosh, someone's named me. But also I thought, so a lot of my clients. And I just thought, somebody's trying to tell me something here. You know, these women who are coming to me are actually saying, well, this is an issue for me. It's something I can't talk about. And it's a growing number of women. And so I started doing some research.
When it touched a nerve and you realised it was you were that female breadwinner, what resonated? What were the emotions that suddenly sprung to the surface?
I think there were emotions-wise. It was things around not being proud of something that actually there's no reason not to be proud of. If a man's a breadwinner, then he should be strutting his stuff, isn't he? Like a proud peacock. But if a woman is, you have to be meek and mild about it and not talk about it. And it was that which felt like maybe shame about something, that I should be really proud of. But I thought, oh, what shall I get to? I need to get to the bottom of this. And I also need to work out how to make the best of it. I think those were some of the emotions that came.
Now there are lots of issues that trigger emotions and interest in us as women. At the moment it seems to be 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know why. But what was it that made you want to write a book about it?
I don't think I wanted to write a book. I definitely wanted to research it further. And what I did was I just set up my own research study. I asked women who I met through the internet, clients, and through networks, if they would like to be interviewed. And luckily, some women were really pleased to in an anonymous way. And when I got all of the information, that's when I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? This is bigger than an article. And what's the next step? And and it was after that I thought about it.
It's interesting that I think it was in 2007, 2008, they were saying that about 44% of women were either equal breadwinners or earning more than their partners.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's probably more than that now, and I've heard the term man session being plotted around. So if it is a growing issue, like a growing reality for many of us, why do you think there's still a taboo around it?
I think it is growing, and I think that's really interesting that it is growing, but I think it might go back a little bit because of the current climate. So a lot of men lost their jobs in the private sector recently, but a lot of women are going to lose their jobs in the public sector shortly, particularly in the UK, and that can have quite a significant impact on women who are breadwinners. Your question was why the
taboo? Why is it sad? Why do we still feel a bit reluctant to fess up, as it were?
I think it's about society's opinions about it. So when I've spoken to women, what they've said is, I'm really happy to speak to you, but my partner wouldn't like to know that. And it's because they don't want other people to be talking about them. Not that men are not necessarily happy about it, but it's what they think other people will think about them. So, and also I think sometimes women are a little bit afraid of seeming like they're sort of arrogant or boastful or full of ego and hubris.
What I found interesting is why you decided to use, we're all familiar with the term breadwinner, but you consciously use the term main earner. Why is that?
Mindy is my book coach, and she's here.
I've met Mindy before.
She's absolutely fabulous. And actually, she made me put the term breadwinner on the cover because it is the common language, and she's absolutely right because I think people wouldn't have understood otherwise. But for me, what we're doing when we use the term breadwinner is we're using a masculine term to define something that's feminine and it's not the same. As a female breadwinner, as the main earner, we do so much than breadwin. We still look after the family. We're still the ones the school calls if the child's sick or if there's a letter or if there's a sports day. We still feel a responsibility for the home as well. So we're nurturing, we're caring, we're not just going out to work. And so I think there's so much, we do so much more. And I think even main earner doesn't encompass it. I'm still searching for the language, but just taking the male language was never going to be good enough for me.
But I would have assumed that would have changed because we are familiar with house husbands, and I don't know, is there equally a taboo that the men still reluctant to admit that they are house husbands. Do you think that's still the situation?
Well, one woman in the book, which is really interesting, she's been a female breadwinner for 20 years, so fantastic. She's, you know, a pioneer in my opinion. And she talked about the reluctance of her family for the first sort of 5 years to admit that her husband was the stay-at-home dad. They kept on, to other people, they'd say, oh, he'll be getting a job soon. You know, this is just a temporary situation. So actually, everyone can be in a denial about it, you know, not just the partner. And some men are happy being a stay-at-home dad, but some are not. And some men find it isolating, you know, and intimidating being the only man amongst the yummy mummies in the school playground. So, and some men embrace it, yeah. And I'm really pleased about the men who want to be stay-at-home dads, and I'm really pleased about the women who want to be female breadwinners, and I'm really pleased about the mums who want to be stay-at-home mums, and I'm really pleased about the men who want to go out and bring home the bacon, because I don't think what I'm saying is women should be breadwinners or men should be stay-at-home dads. What I'm saying is everyone should choose the way they want to be as a family and talk about it as a unit and make that work for them.
The reality, though, for a number of women, particularly single parents, is that you don't decide to be an ME by choice. Sometimes it's thrust against you, so there can be this form of resentment, but you think it's a role that's definitely worth celebrating.
Yes, I definitely do, and I think what we have to do is, we often don't have choices, do we? If you think about changing your job, what you might do is you might say, okay, I want to change job, and if you do change your job, then you're really happy about it, but when you get made redundant, you're not happy about it because the choice has been taken away from you, hasn't it? And I think it's up to us to choose our attitude about the choices we make and be really proud. If you have the capacity to bring home the bacon for your family, to support your family and look after them, well done. Yeah, why shouldn't you be proud about that?
It's pretty hard to do, though, if you're working 10 hours a day and then you go home and you're still expected to put Susie to bed and go through the bills and then go to sleep with Friday and wake up again.
Yes, yeah, and I think if you're in that position, there's a whole section in my book about how do we get our well-being? How do we get that balance right? And sometimes we do things out of martyrdom. Some things we don't have to do, and I encourage every woman to get support where they can, whatever support they can get. You know, trying to do it all, you know, just don't try and do it all. Take off your cape. You know, we're not superwoman. To get rid of that syndrome, because actually we can't do it all. We shouldn't do it all. We don't have to do it all. You know? And as much support as you can get, you should get, and not feel guilty about that.
Now, you are a self-confessed ME.
Yes.
How did you cope? How did you deal with it?
Yeah, I've made lots of mistakes in terms of, you know, pushing things through. And I think also, you know, there's a section I talk about, have conversations about money. Don't not talk about it. Don't sweep it under the carpet. It ends up being that elephant in the room that no one deals with. So I think have conversations.
Without airing the dirty laundry in front of your wonderful husband, you talk about mistakes. What was it? The fact that you thought, well, I earn so I can make all the decisions? Was it when you said mistakes?
I think I did. I think I kind of lost track of his feelings at times around decisions I was making. Absolutely, yes, yeah. And luckily he put up with me, and we work things through. And as things come up, we work things through, which is what I would like every family to be able to do.
So there are a number of issues that come up when you are at the ME. One of them is guilt, because if you're working all this out, you don't get enough time to spend with the family. How do you suggest getting around things like guilt and life balance and stuff like that?
The funny thing about guilt is that I think we've all got this button somewhere, this guilt button. You press it and oh my God, I feel awful. And I think those closest to us know exactly where it is. So they can press it, they can prod it. You know, you can't come to my school play, mummy, you know, why not? Or whatever that might be. But how I choose to look at it and how I'd encourage other people to think about it is quality versus quantity. Yeah? You might not be there every minute of every day, you know. So what, actually? If you were, what would you be doing? Your child might be in front of the TV, or you might be working or focusing on something else anyway. But actually, the time that you're there, be really present. Be really there for your family. And also, don't assume you know what they want. You know, often I've taken time off to spend with my daughter. She doesn't want me. Actually, she wants to go on a play date with her friends. So, you know, we think that people want things that they don't. And we can be guilty, have a sense of guilty or martyrdom, when actually people aren't looking for the things we think they want from us. So, you know, understand what people need and want from you. Don't assume they're unhappy. And also explain what you're doing. one of the women in the book talked about, you know, having the kids on her lap and, you know, and trying to type her reports at the same time. And now she works from home, works away a lot and comes home at weekends. And she said she was there then, but actually she spent no time with them. They were on top of her while she was working, but she wasn't giving them much of herself. But now, when she has weekends with them, the work's gone, and she gives them her full presence. And I think that's much more quality than anything else.
Do you think it being the Emmy, as you put it, automatically equates with being a superwoman, you know, having to do it all? Do you think you have to learn the boundaries? Where does the me time come in?
I think you have to, because if you are the main earner, you know, what happens if you're not well? You know, your physical, mental and spiritual well-being are crucial. Everything will fall apart. So actually, by making yourself ill, you know, or not looking after yourself, or not being in touch with your values, then actually everyone will suffer. You're a system. Every action you have creates a reaction with everyone else. So in a way, not looking after yourself is a selfish act.
Of the women that you interviewed, were there any other common experiences that came up, apart from the guilt and apart from the attempt to try and be the superwoman?
Oh, I think there's lots, and I think what's interesting is I'm not painting out being the main earner to be the most wonderful thing every day of your life, to wake up in the morning, whee, you know, this is me, and like some sort of advert where everyone's on roller skates. You know, it's not like that. But what they do sometimes is they have days where it's like, oh, I don't want to go to work. Why am I swapping places? You know, if I could take 6 months off, well, you know, wouldn't that be fabulous? And then they go to work and they think, gosh, I'd be really bored. And actually, I love the fact that I have a voice, because there's something about earning equally or earning more that means that you have a voice in your relationship that sometimes you don't. For example, one of the women cited an example of a neighbour of hers whose partner was going to get a job that meant he was away 3 days a week, and she was thinking, oh, how am I going to manage with the kids? But she didn't feel she had a voice to say that because he was bringing in the money. You know, if you're the main earner or if you're an equal earner, you have that power to say, you know what, we need to talk about this. So I think there's lots of commonality, things to share, freedom, independence, and actually, we have to admit it, actually, lots of women love work, including me. I get a lot of my self-esteem, my joy, a lot about me, a lot of me comes from working.
Well, let's talk about the male ego in all of this. How do you deal with that? And,
Yes.
and what do you feel are the issues that you have to take into consideration?
Yeah.
Or do you?
Yeah, I think communication. Communicate. I think that's it really. I think when you don't talk about it, it's a huge problem, and you have to unpack what it is. One of the women in the book has an African heritage, and for her, culturally, the man should be the one to earn the money and look after her and the family. But it's really worked out for her to be the breadwinner. She has spent time at home, was completely bored, irritated. She has a disabled son, and she was sort of treating him like a project and putting too much into him. And her husband being at home has been so much better for her son. She feels that the authorities listen more to him, and she gets an awful lot out of work. But she's had resistance from the family, and they had to just sit them down and talk to them about why they've made their choices. So I think there's talking to people about your choices. I think there's proving people wrong. There's so many things that you do in life that people say, no, don't do that. I wouldn't do that. Oh, that's the wrong thing to do. Just do it. And actually, you'll see that people come around to your way of thinking when you make it work.
Do you feel in any way that accepting the role, accepting that you are the main breadwinner, is any way letting men off the hook, or letting, taking on all the responsibility so they can kick back?
Yeah, I don't think so if you've had the conversation. Yeah, I think if you haven't had the conversation, it's not your choice, you don't want to do it, then you need to say that. But actually, if there's more than money that is brought to a relationship, most definitely. There's love, there's affection, there's nurturing, there's doing other things that are part of the house. And so it's a whole picture. Money is one small segment of it. And I don't think you should base the relationship on how much your partner brings in if you're happy. But if you're not happy, and if you think they're just being lazy and you come home and nothing's done, and you're the person wholly relied upon for everything, then yeah, you need to have that conversation.
There must be women that you interviewed that had a sense of resentment or were resentful of being in that role.
Yeah, and there was one woman, and it really struck me. It was just through an internet conversation, and she said, yes, I was the breadwinner for 3 years, and those were dark days. And I just thought, wow, okay, that's awful. And I don't want any woman to feel like that. And that's why I want them to read the book, actually, because I think by working through the process of knowing what the dark days are about, you'll know what to do. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think about that.
We are perpetuated with this so-called wag mentality, for want of a better word.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
get yourself a thick footballer who's got loads of money, and then your life sorted.
Yeah.
It's how do you get over that?
Yes, I completely agree. And when I was writing the book, I was looking for celebrities who were the main, the female main earners who were doing a fantastic job. And they, Katy Perry, Russell Brand have split up. I was looking for these people, and a lot of them have split up. Part of that I think is celebrity lifestyle, not just about being the main earner. But I think we do need more women, and that's why I talk about coming out of the closet a bit. I think we need more women who perhaps, who really are the main earner, because sometimes with celebrities, I'm a main earner, but that means I just earn, $250,000 less than my partner. Well, that, it doesn't really matter. But I think if more women came out of the closet on it, I think it would be better.
Did you find or conclude any?
Did I find? Well, I think Angelina Jolie might be at times the main earner, and we've definitely got Oprah. So there are some women out there who are doing it, and the Prime Minister of Australia. Yes, so I have got some, locked away in my head there.
What was also interesting in the book is that most of the Emmys that you spoke to saw it as a temporary role. To me, almost implies that they're not celebrating it, they're not happy with that lot.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I think there's a bit of denial going on there when women say, well, it could change. I mean, in life, anything can change, and that's the fact. My situation could change tomorrow, so it can change. And I think they're open to that change, but generally, I don't believe that they necessarily want it to change or believe it will change. I think it's just a way of talking about it.
Do you not think they want it to change, but it might not change?
In reality, when I said to them, well, if you weren't the breadwinner tomorrow, how would you feel? Ooh, I don't know about that. So I don't think they are happy about it. They talked as if they might be happy not to be a breadwinner, but when you ask the question, okay, I'm going to take away your breadwinning capacity, it's a very different sense, because a lot of what they think about themselves is wrapped up in that.
There's a very big difference between taking away breadwinner reality. Some women may want to work and earn a lot of money, but would like their partner to bring, if not equal, something to the table.
Yes, yeah.
And not have to do it all.
Yes. I don't know if being a breadwinner means you do it all anyway, because some of these women had partners who were stay-at-home dads. I think what they would like is to know that they could take time off if they wanted to. Whether they would or not, I don't think they would. I really don't think they would. I think they'd be bored, and I think they'd miss out on what they get from work.
What do you most want people to get out of the book and this whole idea of being the main breadwinner?
I think for me, at the core of it is something about self-leadership. It's this thing about knowing who you are, knowing what you want to achieve, and being really proud, but also recognizing that you're part of a system, actually. Everything you do reacts and impacts other people in your family and beyond. And so you can't just go out and make these decisions. You have to think about how they'll impact other people. But I want us all to celebrate. Yeah? I want us not to be walking in shame. I want us to be walking in happiness and, feel really proud. And if there are issues, work on them. Don't leave them to fester. So I want the 2.7 million female breadwinners in this country to read it, work on themselves and be happy, and beyond.
And what do you think it will take for us to be able to declare that with pride and it no longer be that so-called taboo?
It takes a lot more conversations like this one. Yeah, it takes people to have those conversations. It takes the women who are really happy as female breadwinners to go out and support other female breadwinners, not keep it to yourself. Yeah.
I think you're a living embodiment that it works. Thank you very much. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you.